All right, we're live. What's going on, fellas, ladies and gentlemen on the stream? I'm pissed. I just figured out I could put a an intro here. That'll be the next one. But glad to have you all back. Another special edition of our Fireside chat. Today we have bringing back Biofunk. He's looking for his avatar right now. He'll be up in a second. Also co-host, AJ Brockman, and of course Gannon, your support ticket wizard. Welcome all gentlemen. How are we doing tonight?
Good, brother. Happy to be here.
Fantastic, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, another great day. Thanks, guys.
It is a great day. Lots to cover tonight. I think we're gonna stick to the same format. We had a lot of positive feedback on the last one. It's kind of informal, but tons of stuff to talk about since last time we all got on. I know AJ and I have been just starting up our AMA train for this season, so you can kind of catch some of the more formal discussion on. We have at least 3 or 4 more this week. So, but I think today, this is all for the DexFi folks. This is for our champions. So, if you got any questions as we go. We didn't really do as much of a prereq, type of questionnaire gathering. So feel free to throw those in the chat. And we'll just kind of wrap. I guess before we start, what are we drinking tonight, fellas?
Yeah, so I'm in the holiday mood. I got a hot toddy going, man.
Yeah. That's what I thought you'd be drinking. That's good.
Yeah. Well, I'm coming off a sickness. It's always good to have a little warm cocktail. So yeah, there you go.
It's great, man.
I have a 30-year Isle of Skye blended Scotch.
Ooh,
Nice, fancy.
It's
nice.
awesome.
Bio coming in hot, man.
Coming in hot.
For sure.
I just feel like a pleb with my normal Catalan beer,
Hey, nothing wrong with beer. You'll laugh. I went to run to my fridge, my freezer to fill up my ice because I like drinking good tequila, but I was out of ice right now. So I went to the freezer and I had a bottle of this Angels and Envy whiskey bourbon.
Oh yeah, I know that one.
Yeah, it's a good one, but you're gonna laugh because I don't have ice, and I want to have enough to get us through the hour. I got a like a shoebox here with ice packs, like for your back, keeping my Angels and Envy nice and cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I guess maybe I'll kick it off. Kind of just give you some overview, some updates, and like I said, we don't have a huge agenda here, but every time I talk to BioDad, he's always got some questions for me. So we'll go to Q&A in a minute, but yeah, man, lots of cool stuff happening. It feels like we've finally kind of turned the corner on development, on getting started with marketing, on some collaborations. I hope you guys are all digging a lot of the more recent over the last 3 or 4 weeks. All the updates we've been pushing. Honestly, like we really haven't even started with marketing yet. Just kind of scratching the surface this week. But we've had just a lot of really great feedback. TVL's already already on the rise. We're really trying to make an effort of getting more farms added quickly as possible. So and actually that's one of the newer updates coming. I guess since we're there, this I guess let me take a step back. So obviously there was some pressure. I mean, not pressure, but it was time. It was time to get things rolling. And we kind of launched the V4 with the AILM. As almost a standalone, right? We just wanted to get that out as quickly as possible, and it took some time to get through a lot of the bugs, but after was it yesterday's updates? New GDEX pages, new DAO pages, new performance metrics are really cool, and that's kind of for a while we've been really just how do I say this, like we've just been doing the most. We're always trying to run like five things at the same time. and we've got a massive amount accomplished. But from a development standpoint, now that we're kind of moving into more marketing, this is kind of going to be how the flow goes. We are, essentially near every release, we kind of structure what we want for the next release. So basically every 1 to 3 weeks, we kind of game plan everything, specific tasks, and especially now, things, we're really only trying to do things that are either going to bring direct revenue back to us, or things that are going to help with marketing, right? So like in this next sprint, that's scheduled to be out by the end of the year, hopefully. Obviously, we have all the deck swap stuff, which maybe AJ can speak to in a minute here. But we also have things like the farm voting, where you'll just be able to go and basically plug a deck screener link in to add the farm to a voting page, which we'll have constant adding all the time. We're trying to get the share links in there for again for marketing. So when people are sharing their vaults, they get a nice little graphic, see what's in there. Those kind of things that are really really helpful for marketing standpoints. And then of course all of the any mission critical bugs. The last one we had, we updated our whole wallet connect system. Just making sure people can use it efficiently and effectively. But yeah, AJ, you want to pop in? I guess I feel like
Yeah.
I'm already talking too much.
No, bro, I love it. I mean, again, I echo everything that you said. I mean, we have been really putting in the infrastructure now. I mean, I know, and again, even in some of the private groups and some of our biggest supporters, like everybody believes in the product so much. And now it's just about really getting it to market. And, you guys have been killing it behind the scenes, the dev team, the sprints. I mean, again, it looks like it may be moving slow, but it really isn't. And we're right at the point now where it is a turning point. And, I think the next real big rollout is DexSwap. And a lot of that really ties into what we already have in place. I mean, obviously, the vaults are, the flagship product. That's real revenue, that's real product market fit. That is, a gap in the market that we fill. But the swap itself now will also play into that. So again, those that may not be as tuned in, we will be launching our own multi-chain uh, swap solution, V3/V4, and that is important to the vault, especially because now we're able to facilitate our own concentrated liquidity pairs without having to give it to PancakeSwap or Uni or any of the other guys. So that makes it way more efficient for us as well. And unfortunately, everything has been hinging on that rollout, but we're almost there. Again, not to give too much alpha, but we're hoping by the end of the year, we have at least the MVP ready. Some of the first pairs will be in the EMP ecosystem, rolling out on BSC. We'll have EMP, eShare, our Grim Gold token bridging over from Ethereum. So we'll have a lot of initial liquidity pairs set up. And then, early Q1 of next year, that's when we start implementing Pulse Chain, Manta, all the other dexes that we already have up and running, but consolidated under one roof. And, not only is that bullish for us, again, in terms of marketing, where we can really concentrate our efforts and getting the word out, but it also allows us to, have larger liquidity for the bridge, for perps, for everything that goes along with our decks as well. And again, I mean, Jake, we just had some last minute alpha today in terms of the UI. I mean, it's really something that I think is a great product market fit for sure.
Yeah, you brought up a couple of good points too. Kind of one going back to what I had just mentioned about really just trying to focus on items that are going to directly bring in revenue right away. And we've been asked a few times like why start on BNB, and honestly that's because AJ EMPs right now is on all their stuff's on PancakeSwap, so by just launching the MVP there, we can get them off of Pancake and just immediately start adding it. It's an extra revenue stream into the pot. Whereas if we did Arbitrum or Pulse or any of these other chains around, we're already making the money there, and it'll just be a few weeks after, but that's direct revenue. And then another good point, I think, like you said, in terms of the timeline and just how things work, fit. One of the big things is obviously the vault working with DexSwap, and you've seen this like on a number of dexes, right? Like where when you're going to create a liquidity, a pair or provide liquidity, you could do it manually, or you're also able to, use an existing out of the box manager. And this was actually something that was on our roadmap for Q1 anyway, because that's the next phase. Now that we've kind of got everything perfected on our end, we want to be able to provide those plugins to other dexes in order to, facilitate and get, broaden our reach. So yeah, of course, everything on DexSwap will be managed, optionally managed anyway by the users' preferences with the vaults. But also, it's like I said, it's great timing because we're already talking to several dexes on Sonic that we're going to be able to integrate with directly. So it kind of one hand washes the other. Well, we're building stuff for Sonic and that expansion. It also is benefiting our own ecosystem and stuff that we're building anyway. So really just maximizing those development efforts.
Yeah, 100%. Well, and again, that was kind of to my point earlier. Like now that we have the infrastructure, and again, you and some of our AMAs, you've called it the Vault Factory. I mean, that is the hard part. Like we have really laid the groundwork for all that, and now with the bull run here, with the overall markets really coming alive over the next year, we're able to implement at a breakneck pace. And I mean, again, Sonic is a great example. Who knows what other L2s there'll be, throughout this year that pop up. And because of the infrastructure that we have built, we're able to really take advantage quickly now and add that. And even to the point where we're giving extra utility to GDEX, right, Jake? I mean, that is also something we're implementing now in terms of voting for potential pairs and vaults and farms.
Yeah, man, GDEX gonna have a lot of additional liquidity very quickly. We have 2 or 3 things that I can't really spill the full beans on just yet, but yeah, some direct utility for GDEX, some newer products that'll be coming out that also kind of correlate with marketing. It involves some AI stuff, and it's gonna be pretty fun. Also too, because we're honestly, we're like the vaults have always been the biggest lift. Now that like the core stuff is done, like this upcoming sprint, I sent 20 things for the dev team to say, this is the next thing. They were going to say another 3 weeks, a month. Like, okay, let's say the 23rd or something like that. I'm like, well, it's the holidays. Let's push it to the 30th. So I don't think we're almost running out of things to do. BioDad might get to lend his GDEX pretty soon.
That's awesome. Well, actually, AJ brought up a topic, and Jake, you touched on it as well. I'd love to ask a question. Probably have 2 of them actually out of that topic. And it you mentioned that having DexSwap will allow us to really become a little bit more self-sufficient in not only obviously coin and token swaps, but the creation of liquidity pool pairings and then depositing obviously in vaults and things like that. And it allows us to be a little bit more, self-serving or self-sustaining rather than having to rely on PancakeSwap and, Uniswap and other places like that to create those pairings. Did I understand that correctly?
Yeah, I mean, that's
1,000%.
Cool.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Well, yeah, and I was going to say that's definitely the first thing.
Okay,
but
cool.
I guess I will say this though too. It's also more efficiency, right? Because oddly enough, we're in it's past discussion. We're working on some things with some new partners, new projects.
Mhm.
And again, I can't give it all away just yet. But it's funny, they were interested in buying some GDEX, and they're like, man, you guys are like the kings of liquidity, but your tokens don't have liquidity. Like it's and like they totally get it. They're really cool dudes, and like they were probably in the situation that we are right now. So a couple months ago. So part of just even moving, like we have DexSwap in the V2 version, right? But adding that to upgrading that to a V3, not only gives us our own flexibility. We hold our own keys, but it allows like we're still going to have our own POL. That's still our game.
Right.
But it will allow other people to add liquidity, to earn additional rewards on their GDEX, and it's all real yield revenue. So it's not not adding inflation, anything like that.
Yep.
And those kind of things are just beneficial to the whole.
Yeah. Well, where I was wondering and where I was going with that thought process, if as long as I heard you guys correctly, is it sounds like it allows us then to manage our own V2 and V3 farms ourselves and put those in our own vaults. How do we go about, or how would we go about getting liquidity for those? Because obviously when you create a pairing, you need depth, right? You need that liquidity depth. And once I'm talking about going outside of and extending beyond some of the stuff like AJ, obviously you have a great ecosystem and a great community to immediately tap into and bring those onto DexSwap. And obviously as we consolidate chains or, and things like that, it's going to be a very nice, tight ecosystem on the chains that we already support and have supported for a while, whether it's Pulse or Manta, things like that. But I'm guessing it's going to allow us to do other pairings that are more, let's say, mainstream, or other pairings that might be on Base or ARB or Poly, right? And if so, how do we go about sourcing liquidity for those pairings, whatever it is that we would support?
Yeah, I mean, I think we definitely will have that option. Ultimately, though, we're not necessarily trying to compete with like Uniswap or Aerodrome. A lot of it's for our own native liquidity. It's a no brainer, right? We have the liquidity, might as well be offering it. And also like US Dex on both Pulse and Arbitrum, it's doing maybe like 50K in volume a day. So those are pretty decent numbers for for V3, liquidity farming on stable pairs,
Right.
especially given the liquidity there. So, it definitely offers opportunities. Even with something like GDEX, that's been, fairly relatively low volume, even just over the last, week or so, as we've seen, momentum and, things start moving, that could very easily be up to 1 million a day in volume once we start moving, So, those are opportunities for everybody. We do actually have some additional opportunities, again, because of the way our, the DexSwap is built, and our kind of anti-bot network combined with our arbitration bots. Like we could just list, in theory, we could just list almost any pair with low liquidity and still make, a fairly decent amount of revenue, just by having very minimal liquidity that can just keep stacking in POL.
Yeah, 100%. I was just going to piggyback on that, for sure. I mean, that, I guess, in terms of like what Jake is saying, I don't know if it's necessarily a direct comparison, as us trying to steal TVL from other dexes. I think it's more about, providing a better solution. And again, that piggybacks into what Jake just said, our MEV bot protection, our internal arbitrage bots that are not only adding to the daily volume, but keeping the economic energy within our DEX, and ultimately that means more revenue for the protocol, not VCs or the owners of PancakeSwap or Uniswap or whatever else. So again, it's definitely a lot more of a benevolent system, and I think people will be attracted to that, especially other project owners, and that's really a big push for me. from a business development standpoint. I have a ton of relationships with some incredible projects, on many different chains. And if we're able to give them a package deal where they can have their own POL on DexSwap, and then we leverage the vaults to then be able to generate yield for them from their POL that then actually supports their native token and real yield. I mean, that is an absolute no-brainer and something that no other DEXs are really packaging as a complete product. So for me, that's really exciting, especially going into the bull run, because we'll be able to easily onboard, a lot of liquidity from these other protocols.
Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
I can see that on the project level, and even on the retail, just user investor side. I think we're all tired of sandwiches, so it's less sandwich
You know,
bots, the better.
For
you know
sure.
what else?
Yes.
You know what else about that? You'll love this. And I almost forgot about this angle. But I know you and I have spoken about this probably 2 years ago. And obviously all the community knows this as well. Like we even went by using some slogans from Apple at one time. Our goal from the beginning was always to try to have the most robust ecosystem available in DeFi. End to end, we would say, right? So. Uh, right now, because we don't have a ton of liquidity, right? Um, we're all the volume from the vaults, right? We have our own custom smart routing, all the volume from the ETFs. All that just gets pushed through mainly like Uniswap or wherever the big volume, wherever the big liquidity is, right? But as we start getting more liquidity, especially on some of those, like realistically, like half, probably more than half, 60-70% probably just goes through like USDC ETH, right? So we have one of those pairs. We can, with decent liquidity, we could just move the routing to all the DexSwap on every chain, which like immediately would just create a ton of volume, different people zapping in and out of the vaults, the ETFs auto balancing, and that'll only get bigger over time as we grow in TVL.
Yeah, and it is a positive feedback loop with that too, because remember, V3 liquidity, the fees are generated from the volume. So if we have metrics that actually, compound that volume, and again, that's why it's so bullish that we're double dipping, so to speak. That not only are we utilizing our own vaults, but now it's on our own DEX. That result is multiplied, tenfold over the long run. So again, it's non-dilutive in that respect as well.
Hey, Jake or AJ, I wonder if one of you can speak to this more, because I know that obviously most of us that have been around a while, we either started with Dex Finance, and then of course we're lucky enough to migrate over and take part in one of AJ's opportunities, whether it's EMP or SparkSwap, and then or vice versa, right? A lot of folks started with SparkSwap or EMP and then maybe got introduced to Dex Finance, in that path. So a lot of us are very familiar in general with where we're at right now on the various chains and things. I am personally most excited about Sonic, and I'm just wondering if there's anything that either of you can talk to about the Sonic side, because it just seems like a really big opportunity. I'll be candid, it seems way bigger than Manta was initially to us. And I know Manta turned out a little bit, not what we wanted long-term as far as, long-term growth, but man, it just seems like Sonic is just gonna boom. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I'll definitely second that. And I've been involved with a lot of the build up to that. So a couple things. I mean, number one, I fully back that statement. Yeah, I think Sonic's gonna be really big. They're offering like something crazy, like over $250 million worth of airdrops right now. And there's going to be opportunities for just regular farmers. So people are going to come there to farm anyway, to be part of that ecosystem. There's also incentives for protocols as well. So we're linked up with the foundation. We're actually going to get some. Hopefully we're going to get some press from the foundation as well, which is a nice thing this time around. and obviously they're coming from Phantom, so it's the Phantom Foundation. They got money. They got they have the name. So I definitely don't see them kind of turning out the way Manta did. But I think a couple things. One, well, on the same vein as airdrops and things, Manta has a really cool kickback program for developers. They're actually giving back. I think it's something like 90% of gas fees used on a protocol.
Manta or Sonic?
Sonic, sorry, did I say Manta?
Yeah, Sonic.
Yeah.
Sonic,
Freudian slip.
Yeah, sorry. I'm my second glass of Angels and Envy, so
I just poured mine. I'm with you, man. Let's go. LFG, bro.
Yeah. No, they have this Sonic has this great kickback where basically anybody using your contracts, if you're signed up for this program, you get like 90% of the cash back from the gas fees. And granted, like Sonic is super cheap, which is also I think going to be a really impactful thing for users. We've been fully deployed for a couple weeks now, and man, it's like cheaper than Pulse, but runs better than runs like the same, like a similar stack to like Arbitrum. Really just a really good blockchain, fast and cheap. So I think if people are going to come anyway, they're going to come for the airdrops. But also, we're going to have hopefully some market share. We'll get some kickbacks in addition to like the revenue we're making on chain. So that's super positive. And also just
public service announcement really quick for anyone legal or finance on the stream. I think he actually means rebate. Let's just FYI, not kickback.
Yeah.
Wink, wink. Yeah, rebate.
Yeah, I only look that up. It's on their docs. It's not a. It's
no, I'm joking with you, man. I'm joking with you. Kickback just sounds so something anti-political, or I don't know what it sounds, but yeah, right.
But just to put this in perspective, like because the way our contracts are put together, and the way we're doing really complex things with a single transaction. So like if any of you guys have like gone and harvested a vault with 3 or 4 pairs in it and ETFs as profit, and then you go look at the transaction, like just a simple harvest transaction, there could be like hundreds of little small transactions within that, because it's got to go buy all those to harvest the rewards, buy all the assets, create the LPs, deposit them back in, mint your profit, so there's all this stuff happening. And like for the short time that Kanto was a thing, we were literally the number one. They had a similar program. We were the number one. We provided the most volume on all of Kanto, and we probably made up like a relatively smaller chunk of their TVL. So with Sonic, this is also the first. I feel like we've always kind of been behind the 8 ball, so to speak. Because we're always trying to build and catch up. But again, now that we're like our product's fully developed, I mean, of course, we're always going to stay building and doing things. But right now, it's really just kind of clean up, polish, expansion. So this is like really one of the first chains that we were able to catch the first wave of. We knew it was coming. We're on threads right now with 5, 6, 7 major exchanges that are going to be there. We'll have press, some co-marketing opportunities with all these people. And we all know we have the best products. So I'm feeling really confident that we're going to get a good market share there and kind of be first movers.
Yeah, 100%. I'll just tie that up. I mean, yeah, I think we never really had an opportunity like this in the life of the vault. I mean, obviously, like Jake said, we try to develop as good as we can, but it still takes a lot of infrastructure to make sure that we're have that first mover advantage. And with Sonic, we are ready. I mean, that's the really cool part. Everything is finally here. It's ready to go. So the minute we go live, we're able to capitalize on all that initial volume. And again, we keep going back to that key word is volume, because the more volume, the more fees, the better the vaults perform. And when we're like literally minute 1, day 1 of a whole chain launching, that is when we see the most volume. So I think that again, the numbers on some of those vaults could be absolutely mind blowing. especially when we see the hype around Sonic really kick in, and then now we are established as the go-to solution on chain. So yeah, really excited for that for sure.
Hey, let me also say this too. We're streaming to Twitter for the first time tonight. So we got a decent crowd in here. So, again, we haven't been super active, except for maybe more lately. But hey, if you're here from Sonic or you're just catching us for the first time, and interested in Sonic, definitely come check us out. DexFi.com. Ask anybody in the chat right here, or join us on our socials. If you're not familiar with the product. We're gonna have some really stellar tech on Sonic coming day one.
Yeah, 100%. Well, and too, I find it funny. You know me, I'm the sentimental guy, but how crazy is that both Jake and I started with Tomb Forks, and to go full circle with Phantom now becoming Sonic, and what serendipity would that be? If Sonic is the one to actually get us to that 50 million TVL in the vault, to just be amazing.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention also. There's a lot of like a big nostalgic element with Sonic.
sure.
Like a lot of people started on going DeFi, degen, Tomb Forks, and all the good protocols on Phantom at the beginning. So yeah, it will be great. And just also to mention that the Sonic will be huge in terms of you don't only have like the points, the point system for the airdrop. You also have like the gems that were allocated to protocols. So you basically will be able to double or triple dip with the balls, depending on which protocol are you putting the investment in. So it will be huge in terms of incentives for all users.
Yeah, for the
For sure.
DEXs, the exchanges too. They're gonna get runoff volume from all of our vault transactions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, also the gas. It was not kickback or whatever, like the gas refund. It will be huge for the balls, for sure.
Yeah, man. So what else do you want to talk about here? You got any more softballs, Bio, before you start slugging?
Oh man, softballs. I don't know, man. I
Use the
feel
hard
like
ones.
yeah, right. Let's just see. No one's dropped a sack over it on the YouTube channel, so there's no questions I see out there, and I don't see anything in Discord right now. So that kind of just leads to the hardball questions, right?
Yeah,
you need you need another filler for another pour. You need to be on your third pour.
Now we're halfway through, halfway mark.
I love it.
Time to rock and roll.
Bring it, don't sing it. I'm trying, and I was going to pull up the list of things maybe we didn't get to. We got to most of them last time. I think there was only a few that we didn't get, but I'm sure everyone's hit you up in the Discord over the last few months since then. I think the big thing that would be burning is man, maybe you can touch on, before I hit you with the big one that's on my mind, maybe you can touch on the accelerated GDEX lending. Did you kind of tease us a minute ago with something about that?
That's funny. That just came through the chat here too. Yeah, obviously, I was kind of joking, somewhat joking. Again, kind of going back to the end-to-end ecosystem. Like, there's really not much we haven't built at this point. We have perpetuals and derivatives and swaps, spot trading. We have vaults and ETFs. All kinds of we have so much built already that the borrowing lending is really the last step. It's definitely on the roadmap. I think we had it maybe earmarked for somewhere in end of Q1, maybe Q2. So yeah, I think that's still the plan. I think again, anytime we put out a roadmap, things are a little bit fluid. Although I feel like we're hitting pretty much right on cue on most of them. It's definitely something it's that I want to build in. Primarily, I mean, the biggest for me is to offer like leverage trading on liquidity provisions. I think that's a big market that we could surely tap into. But But again, I think really our focus, like right this second, is aside from just cleanup and marketing, but again, anything that's going to provide real value to our users, or that's going to provide benefit to marketing and add TVL. Like I said, we kind of went down this road a little bit with the AILM. We're going to be expanding on some of our AI tech. It's already underway. You might actually get something maybe this week even. And in terms of that front, so I mean, obviously, when we put the last roadmap out like 6 months ago, I mean, of course, AI was a thing, but over the last month, the AI agent, revolution has like hit the market like full steam. So, and again, anyone who's been here for a while knows that we don't fork anything. We're not trying to, just copy or clone something just to be, say we did it. So it's not like we're just launching another AI token. We're trying to build AI tools and use AI to, really benefit, our existing products and things like that. So, but that's just a good example of like, something coming up in between the time we released a roadmap to, where we're at now. But to be honest, I mean, honestly, most of the AI tech is remarkably simple compared to like the vaults technology. So we're still on pace. I was joking about being able to lend your GDEX. I don't know if we'll be offering that right away. We definitely need a little more liquidity before we. It's too dangerous for GDEX holders to offer that service. But yeah, that's definitely on the roadmap.
Awesome, thank you. Hey, what is so we've been in build mode for a long time, and things are really at a point where it's stabilizing and the expansion is happening now in all the right ways. What I guess, and I know you probably, unless you have them, you just never shared them. But do you have some, I don't know, goals or milestones might be a better word here to use, to know when you're achieving the momentum or the movement that you want to achieve? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I know you're not steering the ship just like, okay, wherever the wind takes us type of thing. I know you're not doing that. And so what does good look like? And do you have milestones that you can share with the team? Like, what do you track?
Yeah, there's maybe three really key milestones. There's a bunch of them. But a couple that I track pretty religiously. Obviously TVL, right? TVL is, that's the industry standard, right? Some of that's a little bit skewed, with like something like GDEX pumping. Obviously have a lot of that going around, but obviously TVL, we do TVL by chain. So I'm always watching, where's the base TVL at for the vaults? Where's Arbitrum, where's BNB at specifically? Because that's I mean, that is what directly leads to revenue. Obviously revenue on the DAO is another key key metric. How much money we're bringing in. I'll say this: we have over the last since we launched a new version of the vaults, the new new UI and AILM. I think we maybe almost 5x our revenue in that time period. And granted, we're still building. It's still relatively small, but again, for literally just putting out a new product or a new a new upgrade to the product without any marketing yet, a 4 or 5x on revenue is really impactful at this stage. And honestly, you can see that in the price of GDEX, right? GDEX is also up almost 100% probably since the low about a month ago. So that's also important. I also monitor wallets, just wallets using the vaults. I know you and I have actually gone back and forth on this one, that it's maybe not an exact indicator, because obviously we need TVL, that's the biggest one. But more wallets means people are trying it. And even if people aren't putting in a huge amount of money, I 100% consider this a win. we don't need, I mean, having a bunch of big whales is great. Having 10,000 small people is almost better, right? Because you have more people talking about it, more people doing stuff, telling their friends, getting involved, posting on in their Telegram call groups and things like that. So those are definitely big ones. Wallets, TVL, and then also our treasury. That's between those. Those are my three big ones. Obviously, we want to watch, who's going into the vaults, right? How much are they depositing? And then on the other side, what's the strength of our treasury? To be honest with you, we have a little over a couple 210, 220 or something like that in the treasury right now. And just like liquid assets. It's actually probably a little bit more with some other investments outside of that single wallet. Obviously, we have we have several $100,000 in our own POL. We have another couple $100,000 in our native tokens, right? But I don't really count all that. I'm just always trying to balance the strength of the company versus the strength of our foundation, our backing, right? Because what we have to do is be able to, because the profits all go to GDEX, the GDEX holders, I should say. It's really about having a treasury that can kind of support, the things that we want to do, whether it be marketing, operations, development. So honestly, the treasury itself is, like I said, it's a little over 2 right now. I think it was at 4, maybe $500,000 a couple months ago, but I got tired of paying off the U.S. Dex debt, so we just took care of that escrow debt, and took a little bit of a hit. But seeing it back, anything over anything above the 2s, we're in really good shape.
And now you're sleeping better at night, right?
I am. Oh, absolutely. Just getting rid of the escrow debt was a massive undertaking. $1 million, $1.1 million over the course of a year, and the treasury was making moves, doing things to try to get that taken care of. So just not having that anchor on our neck is big. But honestly, even over the last couple of months, without we're just kind of crawling back. But yeah, now we're at the point where the passive, everything's in the vaults, because we want to promote our own product, and I put my money where my mouth is. So the more money in the treasury means more TVL, more fees for GDEX holders. But also, we're looking at entering alt season right now, with several $100,000 in the vaults, earning, between, $600 to $800 a day in passive income, which is more than enough to, fund our development, marketing efforts and all that. So, and that's literally just passive income aside from what, we're actually earning as a protocol. So, things are, my opinion, things are feeling really good right now.
Awesome. I know I have a few more questions. I'm going to steal one from the chat list because he put it out there, and it's a pretty good question. I think I know your thoughts on this because we've actually talked about this before, but I want to throw it out there and let you share with the broader audience, and love to hear what you say, what your thought is. Mahir Shah asks, will we ever look for a VC or a big partner to go bigger, in the future, right? Well, when we have a suite of products, will we be looking for a VC or big partner like when Pendle went big by getting Eigenlayer on board?
Yeah, no, I think that's actually a great question and a great kind of an analogy. So a couple things to note. As far as VCs, right? We started bootstrapping. We never needed it. We didn't have to we didn't have to give up a whole bunch of tokens to get the VC funding. We've been able to do it ourselves, and ultimately that means more revenue for GDEX holders, right? So I think that was the right move. At this point, we don't necessarily need the money. I think what you alluded to is, sure, if a reputable name came along, and wanted to, bolster our brand recognition, help with, KOLs and marketing, things like that, it'd be something we consider, for sure, as long as it was beneficial to, the community as a whole. But again, because of our origin story, kind of moving from one thing to another, always making everyone whole, not diluting the pool. We don't have a massive amount of tokens to go around, and honestly, the ones we have, I'm not really trying to give up too cheaply. So it would definitely have to be the right deal. But the analogy to Pendo is actually great, because this is definitely the type of thing we're looking at doing, and literally in the process of doing, as we speak. What we want to do is, we have the best vault technology in all of DeFi, right? Now all we have to do is get people using it, right? So it's a multi-prong prong strategy, where obviously we're doing AMAs, and we're running digital ad campaigns, and going to be working with KOLs and all these things to try to target the user base, right? The average person who wants to just invest in the vaults. And that's where we track the wallet addresses, the TVL, those kind of things. But the other strategy that we're also actively pursuing is kind of this B2B approach. And we've learned from our lessons. In the past, we've tried to go directly towards towards protocols, towards DEXs. And at one point we were trying like a revenue sharing model and things like that. In the end, we kind of found that the juice wasn't really always worth the squeeze. We want to. I mean, it brought in TVL, it brought in some exposure, but actual acquisition to get those people on board, not always the easiest. You'd be surprised how many protocols just are tough to even discuss things with, or work on things together. And then also, especially with any kind of revenue sharing model, that's taking money away from the protocol, from GDEX holders, etc. So we've shifted our gaze a little bit now, especially with the AILM and some of the more recent advances, to where we're still ultimately the end user is using the product, but also I think there's been a lot of advancements in things have changed in the DeFi landscape, where it's not necessarily only an exchange, a DEX that's going to have the ability to get to users, or that has a need for liquidity management. There's a number of B2B kind of stuff that we're working on, to where we can kind of be that engine, which again kind of goes back to the Spark swap, the DEX swap stuff, adding building modules to fit inside the DEXs. Work hand in hand with some of these projects that have a real need for liquidity management, that we can provide.
Yeah, no doubt. I would again agree on all that. And really, again, the cool part is that we have all these different approaches, whether it's strictly retail, where we have everyday people that just want to earn through providing liquidity. We have that covered. We have the B2B model, for project owners that again want to earn on their POL, to actually support their tokens through inflationary mechanisms, and then even to the enterprise level. I mean, again, we even in the EMP ecosystem, we don't really have any venture capitalists, but we definitely work with hedge funds that are utilizing vaults and EMP and GDEX and everything else to add to their stack as well. So I think that we have the exposure without having to give away equity to a VC to help us scale. And like Jake said, I mean, we're in an amazing position right now where we don't really need the money. We're able to earn on our own treasuries and just the revenue from the vaults themselves that really will keep us, sustainable for the long run. And, even as we go into the next bear market, we have so many options in terms of stable yields, and other ways to generate revenue, that we really do become, bear market proof as well.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. All right. So let's get in. I look, Jake, you brought up the marketing word twice. We got to turn this into like drink bingo or something. If you say marketing, I got a drink.
Let's do it.
All right, excellent, man.
Yeah.
Look, on our journey to we have a couple of TVL milestones. I think the first one is Vegas TVL, which again rests on what number? What number is that?
100 mil.
100
Yeah.
mil? All right.
On the
So
party.
how do we get to Vegas? How do we get to Vegas? Like, that's our first milestone here on the journey. Like, what are your thoughts? And do we have a little bit of a plan that you can share, even at a high level? You don't have to get specifics, because I know there's certain things with certain partners that you can't discuss yet. But can you talk about maybe if it's a 2 or 3 or whatever multi-pronged approach you might have in your mind on where do we go next with marketing now that we're through the build phase for the most part?
Yeah, 100%. You know, again, we'll always be building and getting better. And even like I said, even the development side is only going to be towards things that are help with marketing and, you know, user acquisitions. But yeah, aside from that, so I'm sure I sound like a little bit of a broken record. You heard me kind of say in the Discord and probably on previous emails or previous AMAs. You know, we have a couple of things that we know, you know, work to a certain extent. Obviously, AJ is the king of AMAs. We just started an AMA train. We had about 10 scheduled this week. More to follow. And I get it. There may be not, you know, not everyone loves the AMAs. I mean, trust me, I'm the last one to jump on the AMA, outside of this one, of course. But you know, it's a good warm up, gets people talking about it, right? So that's kind of our first step. They're cheap, you know, it doesn't cost, you know, it's low overhead, gets our feet wet a little bit. We're able to talk about it, start sharing things. We've had a lot of really great success with the bank direct messaging. I just talked to our CTO an hour ago, maybe, on some how do I say this, additional kind of tricks that we can do to scrape the right users. You know, for example, Beefy, not Beefy. DeBank will give you like a list of all Beefy holders, right? But you know, those could be holders that you know, might have invested, you know, 5 years ago and just have an LP sitting there. They could be you know, just like kind of single-sided ETH, you know, stakers that don't really care about vaults. So, you know, our next approach on this is to target very specific categories. For example, if a new token launches, we're testing with a couple pairs right now, but basically basically scrape the contracts to find the actual LP holders, active LP holders for that specific pair, like on the day that they're providing liquidity, and then message them directly with a very customized, specific message saying, "Hey, we saw you, create an LP on Chaos yesterday. Would you like to try out these vaults?" Right. So very unique, specified marketing that way. And then just kind of going down the line, pay digital ads, things like that. But again, I'm always a little bit leery of some of this stuff because over the years we found it's just hasn't been the ideal approach. The ROI is not fantastic normally. But I think, you know, to your earlier point, I can break out a little alpha. You know, outside of the core things that we're doing, right? These are kind of like the low hanging fruit. You know, digital ads, AMAs, right? We're really trying some new things. Here's a big alpha drop. I wasn't going to quite list this out, but we should have within the next, you know, maybe a week, our own AI Twitter bot that's going to just basically scour Twitter and find people talking about assets within the vaults, right? This will allow us to kind of comment, like, share. For users, you'll be able to actually use an interface where you can say, okay, I want to be notified about these assets, these things, right? And it's actually it's looking like it might be a whole lot deeper than this. But you know, for our purposes, again, we're not trying to build an AI token. We're strictly just trying to get marketing value out of it, right? So like that's a new approach that we're going to try for a while. Another big, again, kind of going, I can't really spill the beans on all this, but like I said, we have some really great strategic partners lined up, with Sonic and elsewhere, that already have kind of established brands, and are really hot right now, that have already offered to kind of connect us with some of their KOLs, and get kind of work our way into the boys club. And unfortunately, that's kind of how crypto is nowadays. We really have to kind of break into the scene. And if we're not going to use the the VC funding, the guys that kind of have the keys, it's really going to be a kind of a grassroots effort to get in there, and establish those connections, and get that exposure, from those means.
Yeah, 100%. And again, I mean, we just again, give a little more context. That marketing end is really where we excel. In terms of our partnerships, our reach, and honestly, I mean, and I don't want this to sound like a cop out, but the vaults sell themselves. I mean, again, like once we finally get to a point where TVL is increasing, we're on all these up and coming chains. We're seeing real yields of 1 to 3% daily. Just for providing liquidity. Those are the sort of metrics that we can run with, in terms of marketing. Because again, I mean, it goes back to that old adage: the best marketing is a green candle. And if people are actually earning, and screaming from the rooftops about how bullish our vaults are, and how DexSwap is that much better than all the others as we continue to build liquidity. I mean, those are the sort of things that allow us to really scale the marketing. And it does happen a lot more organically at that point. And we're not spending money because the landscape is definitely changing. The days that you can go drop 10 grand, on an influencer video, that is money that we don't see coming back. And so, to Jake's point, we're trying to be a lot more strategic in the marketing that we're doing without spending, hundreds of thousands of dollars on marketing that really doesn't matter.
Shit, man, I'm glad you said that, because I feel it in my loins that we just have we have the best shit, and as soon as there's a hill to cross, right, where some people come and they see 10 million TVL or whatever, they're like, oh,
For
well,
sure.
this isn't, what's the problem with this, right? But I think once we get to 20, 30, 40 mil, people really start talking about it and seeing it, and we get more of the B2B integrations. Yeah, man, I think it really does sell itself. I just couldn't say that because
Yeah.
people
Well,
would definitely
I-
think it's a cop.
Yeah,
I would
take
agree.
it.
This is a topic that's very near and dear to me, and I talk to community members, obviously in DMs and things like that. So this is probably part of the reason why Jake had me on here. And so, and AJ, we've had the green candles in the spring, and we've had the 1, 3, 5% degen rates in the spring. Remember December through April of
For sure.
24, dude, it was killer. Let me tell you,
For
Jake
sure.
and I. Oh my God, weren't we like? I swear to God, 2-3 times a day is like, what the hell's going on? I mean, like the rates were crazy, man. You know what I mean? I mean, anyway, so we had those, and so I know it's there, and I think we all emphatically believe that we know we have the best tech. We're lucky to be aligned with Jake and Dex Finance because we know it's the best tech, but we also know the best tech doesn't always win, and it's shown itself numerous times in traditional software, enterprise software, right? It doesn't work that way, unfortunately. And so I think a lot of it is there's two ways to grow, right? There is the shotgun approach, which is costly, to Jake's point, and AJ, to your point, it is costly. And you don't know if you're going to get the results you want. And then there's the organic growth, which is the path that I know. And so I know that's the path that Jake's chosen. And I know that AJ, that's the path that you support. So it is. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Jake.
I mean that's probably, it's true to an extent, right? To up until so to put this in context, right? Like for the launch of Money Market, right? Our second project that we launched 2 years ago, right? we had like a $200,000 marketing budget just for the launch, right? And after that, we had spent at least another 100,000, on different things, throughout the course of that, that project. So like, I'm definitely not afraid to spend money. I think it is important to note that, what, AJ was referring to, that, the landscape is changing and has changed. So it's not, like I said, I'm happy to spend the money. But I just want to make sure that we're not just buying, $50,000 banner ads, or, YouTubers that aren't going to bring immediate, impact.
Right.
I just want to, we're at, you're right. I mean, you're right. The best product doesn't always win. But it's a little give and take. We're at a point now where, things are really good. The treasury is really healthy. So I don't want, there can't be any more steps backwards. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It has to be just a constant approach to, find the newest outlets, see what's working. If I swear to God, if I could spend, 10,000 and get 11,000 back, I would do that, 5 times a day. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, agreed.
you know what I mean? Like, so like, it's just a matter of checking it out, seeing the ROIs. And I also will say, when, you referred to, I think probably 6 months ago is when you were thinking, right, where APRs were going crazy, right? It was really great. And actually,
Q1 is when it was going great. Yeah.
that's right. And everything was great, right? Revenue actually was phenomenal. But that was actually, again, when we took another kind of step backwards in development, where we said, well, we have to make it a little more approachable for users. We need to make it a little sexier. We needed to introduce this, V3 liquidity manager. So, it's always a little bit 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But I do feel really confident that we have the framework now that we didn't have in the past. And moving forward, I don't think there'll be any like major plateaus or step backs.
Right.
From here on out, we're actually above the curve. Like, even the same thing happened 2 years ago with the start of V3 liquidity, right? Because we were doing really well with V2 stuff, and then all of a sudden V3 came, and then we had to stop and build that, right? But now, like I said, for the first time, we're actually like ahead of the curve. All the stuff's built. We're already on trees that don't exist. Like, we'll be able to foresee those, those changes earlier, and, compensate for that in development prior to having to actually slow down.
Yeah. And I recognize that. I think, the two of you are so seasoned in this space. You don't need help with AMAs, like to AJ's point. I mean, if anyone's the AMA king, it's AJ. Banner ads don't work because you've been there, done that. It's like 101, 201, almost 301 level marketing activities. It's like, guys, we know this. We've done this before. We know what works, doesn't. But it's almost like the junior, senior level 301, 401, college coursework in marketing that, if you were to try something, it has to be value add at that level, right? I think is what you're saying. It has to be it has to be really quantifiable and profound, because you've tried everything else and you know what works and you know what you guys can do already that you don't need help with.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%. Well, and one more thing too. Again, I know we're going to wrap it up here, but I think and I don't want to drop too much alpha. I'll get in trouble here, but after another hot toddy, I might have to. But yeah, I mean, we also want to make it more approachable, and I think that is something that Jake and I talk about on a daily basis. I mean, even on these AMAs, the vaults can be very overwhelming for new users, and so again, read between the lines here, but we are working on some very unique ideas that allow people to utilize the vaults without really even noticing what they're doing. And I think that is going to be a pivotal moment in terms of retail adoption of vaults, because we're able to give them this fun way of interacting with the vault and not having to even really know that they're providing liquidity. So that is something coming into this year that I think we can really leverage, and even down to like a simple leaderboard on the UI where we have different vaults that are updated that say, hey, this is the best performing vault in the last 24 hours. Those sort of metrics will allow us to market a lot easier to the right people without it being overwhelming.
AJ, here's one for you. You want to make it super stupid easy. I said this before, like I think years ago when Jake and I first met. Add it to the wallet providers as, hey, you got some extra cash in here, regardless of the coin denomination, right? Forget that for a second. You got some extra cash, click this button here to start earning X amount on it. And it just goes back to a DexFi vault.
Yeah, bro.
That's
I
the
love
stupid
it.
easy button,
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
totally. Yeah.
All right.
Honestly, we're working on potentially we're working on something very similar to that too.
All right, you can send your licensing fee to Biofunk at
yeah
.eth.com or whatever.
Yeah.
.eth.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
but again, those kind of things are those are heavy development stuff. And if they come up, they come up. But I think the lower hanging fruit, right? Like what AJ just mentioned, the leaderboard, like we're gonna have that in the next 2 weeks. It's already in production or in development. It'll be coming out on our next release. This leaderboard page where we'll have most deposited for the week, best P&Ls for the week, best stables, best blue chips, best strategies, best single assets, right? Just to quickly scan through and say, oh, this is the best, these are the newest vault. These are, this is the hottest stuff right now, right? So, and that also ties in with like the whole, like beginner mode that we're also working on, right? So, all that plays together, and I think that's for sure a thing. And back to the multi-pronged approach, like I said, we're working on some bigger things that'll be able to kind of incorporate more, higher development stuff if it's worth doing. But at the same time, like I said, right now it's time to pump. So everything we're doing right now has to either provide immediate revenue or better customer acquisition.
All right, I got to hit you with this last question. Otherwise, I'm going to burn my name on the YouTube chat. It's from here again. And he asks, will GDEX holders get a portion of the DEX swap revenue, or will that go to holders of the new token?
Now, of course, everyone will get a piece of GDEX, GDEX specifically, but DEX swap revenue will be distributed amongst GDEX holders, amongst the EMP community, and also to like liquidity providers, right? We will be issuing a new DEX token for that specifically. But yeah, I mean, in general, anything that's got the word DEX in front of it, GDEX holders will get a part of. And I guess kind of going back to, this kind of unique partnership that AJ and I have had. And I know we've probably said this on a number of AMAs, but, like AJ's had a ton of success. Like, our thing on Manta wasn't all that great. Maybe partially because Manta TVL in general went down the tubes, but they've had like amazing success with Spark Swap on Pulse Chain, and you can even on our DAO revenue, most of the DexNet revenue is from Spark Swap. A lot of volume. That's where a lot of the US DEX volumes come in right now, which also provides more POL and revenue. So it really just comes down to like this division of labor and kind of divide and conquer strategy. I have my plate full. I mean, we all do, but I really need to focus on the vaults and expansion of the vaults and things in that nature. And so AJ does what he's good at and running the DEXs and the AMAs, and so of course his team and himself all are entitled to are definitely entitled to parts of their fruits of their labor. So of course it's split up, but again it allows us to keep adding utility and functionality and infrastructure to the DexFi ecosystem without sacrificing developments on things like the vaults and expansion, that kind of thing.
Yeah, 100%. And, in terms of our, corporate structure now, I mean, the one hand definitely washes the other. I mean, yeah, Fusion is a significant holder of GDEX and vice versa. And with all that, additional volume and fees that DexSwap will generate on top of, the yield from Vaults and again, Pulse and, the top 8 other chains that we're going to be adding. I mean, ideally, there's plenty of money to go around and it stays within the ecosystem. Again, Jake and I earn from the protocol just like all of you do. And that's the other bullish thing. It's like, we're not, it's not going into our pocket. It's going into supporting our native assets, which is how we all win at the end of the day. So yeah, it's really a synergistic way of doing it for sure.
AJ and I always joke around because it's not easy being a project manager.
For sure, man.
No way.
Yeah, we do like daily therapy sessions just because we can't afford real therapy.
Yes, totally.
But we asked for this and we love it. So
well, thanks for letting me
100%.
ask some pointed question, guys. I really appreciate it for you letting me trying to be like Dan Rather or whatever, insert favorite, interviewer name, but appreciate it, guys. You guys are cool.
no, man, thank you, man. I think, like I said, we had an amazing response from the last one. If you can stomach us, we'll get you on for the next one too, man. You're a great addition.
Man, I love it, man. Just thanks for including me. Much appreciated. Much love.
Of course.
Yeah, Bio, absolutely, brother. We appreciate you, man.
Thanks for your time.
I think that's a good wrapping point. Thank you guys all for coming out. We've been on for about an hour and 10. So, great to see y'all here. We had a pretty decent crowd here. So, and it's on YouTube. So I'm sure we'll share it afterwards. But you guys have been great. Feel free to drop your questions in the chats for next time. And we'll see you guys again shortly.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
All right, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers.